Hi, YouTube. Thank you to my new subscribers. It'll be a pleasure getting to know you all. Um, just real quick, what I do here is try and expose the dark cabal further than I already have for um, over 50 years solid. When I was 17, I divorced the Masons legally in court, emancipated by the state as a kid with a job and my own place to stay because I could not stand them. Um, but my training to go along with battling them was probably worth the torment I had living with them. So, and I was adopted. Um, probably I'm a mixture of all the Illuminati families. That's my bloodline. But I'm a mutt and I'm a bastard and they hate me and they nickname me Trouble. So that's a brief history. And for the people from over at Super Dave's, unlike Dave, I might uh, um I'll let it rip on the swearing thing sometimes because I swear I believe in God and um I think if I have something to swear about and I'm that upset, if I do it on here, a lot of times I will apologize and I really try not to do that. So, um, there's that. So, little history um on me real quick going into this. So, yesterday I had watched a video and I like to, like a lot of us, take what was written in the scriptures or other texts, um, tablets, scrolls, whatever, and see how they connect with our history and our heritages and how people traveled around the world if they did, how the languages mix and correlate. And language is a great big thing to me. I love words. Um, that really helped me out a lot in my life. Now I'll tell you briefly of my little miracle, one of my little miracles, and then I'll carry on with my topic of the day. But I had a stroke about oh, I think about 10 years ago now, and I couldn't even talk or walk or function. And God pulled me through that. Literally, my heart stopped and I could feel my brain about ready to freeze out. And I asked for help. If I said, I'm not afraid, but if you want me, otherwise, if I have stuff to do, He's always guided me. He's the only the Spirit of God running through my veins is the only real parent I ever had. So there's a brief history on me right there. That kind of says it all. I didn't always do things right, especially as a youngster, but we live and learn, hopefully. So I was watching this documentary on timeline history documentaries, and I'll share the link to it. It's on an unknown story of an Egyptian queen. Well, and people would think Cleopatra right away, and I did. And I wasn't thinking of any of the other queens of like if northern Egypt or southern Egypt. No, just but what I found so interesting, not just about the queen, her name is Nefertari. Sounds like Nefertiti, but that's a different person and it's a guy. But from what I understand. But anyway, with this Nefertari, she had made um, in the absence of her husband, who was, I think they called him Pharaoh, when they called each other gods and stuff. So, when men started calling themselves gods type of thing, I think what was going on. But, a lot of that is, if they think they made the first raindrop or whatever, I have no clue what was going through their heads back then. But what I did think was really interesting, in absence of her husband, she had signed a treaty, a peace treaty, with a person she called her sister from the Hittites. But the most unique thing in the world that I think about that is they have that actual treaty that she drew up or signed or whatever in the United Nations in New York City. I was thinking to myself, now why? Yeah, it's a United Nation and it's part of the United Nations, but why wouldn't that country have her treaties in their country? Of course, we all know of the New World Order and the globalists that are pushing for one world government, which is just tyranny, period, you know. So when I learn more about that, and I will, because when how you pray about something or think about something, and then it just sort of appears, that happens to me all the time. So I expect my curiosity as to why that certificate, or whatever they want to call it, that treaty, is in the United Nations in New York City of the United States of America. It just doesn't make any sense. It should be in a museum in their own country. That'd be like taking a Native American treaty and taking it over to, well, they probably did, England, um, and have it in their museum there. I bet they do. It's probably where they're all at. That's why they didn't honor them. Excuse me a minute. And yes, I smoke over here. So, you know, I'm not a drinker, but I don't care what people do as long as you don't hurt people. My channel is never, ever, ever for children. Never. I've got that on there explicitly. Um, yeah, that just not at all. Even if I share something that's like I shared one time this funny girl singing in a choir, and she just couldn't hold still. She's like jamming, everybody else is all straight laced, and here's this little girl just dancing and singing. It was the funniest thing. So, and I have one of my granddaughters singing a song too down in my videos, and practicing for a play, I think. A couple of times. I got a couple of things like that, but they're really not even meant, they're just meant to show people, here's some kids that I helped put on this planet, you know. So, but yeah, I usually just get on here and I don't, I used to write things down, what I wanted to try and remember, and then I just decided I'll just wing it, and whatever, however the spirit flows is however, or if it doesn't. And a lot of times I'll tell people too, I'll tell you, this isn't a good day for talking about God because I'm like not in that type of spirit or something. And I try to or I'll just cut it short and say, like, I'm not feeling well, which last week, actually, I think I did have a touch of the flu, but you won't get me near another one of them shots. They almost killed me before, and our cousin did die, so that's not going to happen, not again. So, So that's about what I do, is just kind of hang out and say hello, and um, people will comment. It's just like we're chatting, it's about it. So about what's going on in the world and those type of things. So yeah. Um, I listen to oh, excuse me. I was gonna grab my ashtray. I thought I had a trick. Look at my light and then my ashtray. Um, to remember my ashtray before I pushed record, but I didn't use that trick today. I haven't been, and if I get cut off, my phones have been entirely crazy lately. Um, just like cutting me off. I don't know why. But and I deep clean them every time. Couple times though, when that did happen, I was really tired a couple of weeks ago, and I had forgotten to take bigger files like the video I had done before off the phone, and I thought, oh, I deep cleaned it really good, and then it just shut me off. So I'd either make another one or just say goodbye in the comments or put a I love you to everybody. So if that happens, I'll always come back, and if I'm trying to make a point or think I have something else to share, and that's something like I try to do too, is share information that I think is going to maybe put a little piece of the puzzle in for one or more persons that are doing the same type of thing in life. Exposing, trying to connect everything, and sharing the information with everybody. That's, I think, what a lot of us are doing out here. So we can't any of us really say that these things are definitive, like this is exactly how things are, because none of us were there. We don't know for sure. All we can do, it's not even, we can do a little more than speculate. We can go, like, even before the scriptures were written, all those stories were passed on orally through the families. um like a lot of cultures still do to this day. So there probably, I'm going to guess that there weren't a lot of variations on the stories that were told, because the old timers, if like you hear your daughter or your son repeating the story that you had told them, it would be the way you told them to tell it. I would think, in honor of our all our heritages and our beginnings, that's the way it should be. But these freaks, these greedy freaks of the world that want to control everybody, don't want us to put the missing pieces together. Say, like, if this ancient queen actually was like from your heritage that went to Germany, or might have went to, oh, let me think of some, like Asia or somewhere. Do you see what I'm saying? It could be like these family members and the bloodlines and stuff where they traveled all over the world. It's really cool to get things that they thought were lost, and like this queen, for instance, a lot of her information had been lost, but she was a writer herself, which a lot of, I guess, and knew several languages. So there's more of her stuff around than was thought before. And I had heard about her, but I didn't really think anything of it because I didn't really know enough about the woman to have an opinion. But I still think it's fascinating that she made a treaty between her and another queen, two women, um, made a treaty between their countries to get along way back when. Huh. what's the matter with the world today, right? Yeah, maybe people don't honor and respect each other like they should. That could be a big part of it. I think it boils down to greed in no matters whose heart, whether they're greedy for money or material things or sexual things or whatever their thing is. That cabal of people will do their dirty deeds and cover up their brother's dirty deed be out of greed for what they personally want, and that's what it boils down to. So, yeah, I'm not big on greedy people. It bothers me. So, yeah. Excuse me. Oops. Cheers. I'm pretty much a coffee drinker. Um, Coffee, water, and milk. That's my pretty much. That's about it. Little cream in the morning in my coffee, and I fast all day, and I eat real good at night, and that pretty much keeps me pretty healthy. I did do my exercises yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to today. I've been feeling pretty good with the every other day thing. And even the experts say, like 3 times a week is good and, to rest or whatever. But I was doing them every day for that first, after my broken bones. Yeah, after I had a stroke, I broke my toes. Then I cut Doug, he's my estranged spouse, part of the Dark Cabal, long story, cut him out of the tree and broke my shoulder and my arm in 2 places. I was okay. I was afraid the chainsaw was going to get him, and he was hanging there by one arm holding the chainsaw and couldn't do anything else but fall. And I hoisted him up as he was still there because I didn't want the chainsaw in him to fall. And after I broke everything, he said to me, I should have let him fall. I said, yeah, probably because you would have just bounced, I said to him. We both were out working in the yard. He was trimming some limbs at the end of our driveway so we could get a semi truck in here if we wanted like loads of gravel that we've or river rock on our road and some different things, loads of wood or whatever it may be, so we could get a semi in here. And it's a horseshoe shaped driveway, and I was on the other side of the road, on the other side of our driveway, actually further than a road's distance, and seen him hanging there. And it took me about maybe 7 big jumps, and I was over there. So yeah, I'd still save people even if I don't. The first time I ever saw this guy, he was dying, and I saved his life. I was a nurse, and I got off work, and I didn't drink back then, but I had previously, and I did after that. But I was in one of my didn't feel like having anything type of, and I was smoking. Um, so anyway, maybe not that day, but I had gone in this little pub. I think they have a hamburger and a Pepsi and play some pool. So, but there was a bunch of jerks in there, and I knew a couple of them from high school and whatever. So I went to leave, and these guys right in front of me, this guy fell off the side of the steps. It was like 3 steps down, just fell straight on his face, and he was swallowing his tongue. Well, I didn't see him swallowing his tongue at first. I went down the steps, and something told me look back, and I seen it happening. Disgusting. And that's what I was thinking. And I went to walk over to my car and I turned around and I told his friend, take his wallet and put it in his mouth and get his tongue out of his airway and put his wallet in his mouth so he doesn't choke on his own tongue. And the guy looked at me and I said, turn him to the side and get his tongue out of his airway. And he did. And then he was okay. And I stood there for a while. I went and sat in my car. And I thought to myself, maybe nursing isn't for me. Well, the following week, I got then started working for a physical therapist aide. I was an aide for a physical therapist instead of working directly, like putting catheters in people or whatever, which isn't really a thrilling thing, stuff like that. So, yeah. But anyway, long story on that too. And then I went out, and then I went out like ranch hand out in Montana, and further on down the line, I did some more nursing and some more nurses schooling, and then I ended up even being a lunch lady cook. I took chef's classes long time ago. I've done all kinds of things. I've been a blackjack dealer and licensed contractor, licensed ordained minister, um, all kinds of all kinds of things. So I've been a pretty busy person in my life. So yeah. Oh, we had snow last night. I was so surprised. It stayed. Usually we get like last week it tried to we had a few flakes. I'm in northeastern, more well like more north than central, but I'm in northern Minnesota. Right below the Arrowhead part. I'm about 80 miles up. Interstate 35 is Lake Superior. I love it up there. I hope to be there so I can die up there looking at that beautiful lake. Yeah, it's amazing. People say that, but um, I don't know. I haven't been as far into California as to go over to like Los Angeles, but I've been in Death Valley and the high Sierras and the low Sierras, and I've seen the Gulf of Mexico and I've seen the Atlantic, but I do want to get up over. I've got to see. I don't know if I'll make it to Alaska, but maybe. I want to get to see Washington and Oregon. I haven't seen, but pretty much, and Canada and Mexico I've seen. So I've been a lot of places, all over the place. So except really not off the American's continent at all. And I don't know if I want to be because of a long plane ride, and I don't want to be. I'm not afraid of the water. I just really do get seasick. Big ships. I've got my own canoe and I love runabouts and stuff like that, but I just really don't like big ships. The last one I was on was really horrendous and I don't want to go through that again. So anyway, that was a great big ferry. We drove our car in, and went across Lake Ontario, I do believe. I've been all around the Great Lakes and to get through well, like one part you can go through the locks at Sault Ste. Marie, and there's another part that you have to actually ferry across one of the lakes. Maybe that was to get up into Canada. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Um, it was 1969 when we went right past Woodstock and everybody was partying and listening to good music. That's where I wanted to go. But we ended up, I was with my parents, going to Buffalo, New York to see Niagara Falls and then going up into Canada and then back across the states and then back down in through the Dakotas and back home. So, yeah. So that was interesting. A lot of people think that all rivers run to the south. I was thinking of with Canada and Minnesota, we have a river, the Red River and Red River Valley. There's more than one of them too, but there's the Red River that literally flows north into Manitoba out of Minnesota. And the beginning of the Mississippi River is north of me in Minnesota, about 240 miles from me, up by the border in a place called Itasca. It literally starts from a spring in the ground, and like we have a creek on our property, and it comes out of a spring, and we have natural springs all over, and it flows into a creek and into a lake. Um, that we have a lot of waterways, and the boundary waters right up above me, and lots of water around. So yeah, but yeah, it's kind of cool to see the headwaters of the Mississippi, just to see it where it starts. It's and you can walk in it and wade in it. It's pretty cool. There's a little tiny bridge that just goes across where it first starts, and it looks just like the tiniest creek, and real shallow. And then when you just see that massive river and how it goes into the Gulf and everything, just all the way down, it's really an amazing thing. I imagine the Nile and the Amazon would be amazing to see. I always wanted to see, let's see now, and then I can't remember where the heck did you want to go? Oh, I have no clue. No, I wanted to go into the Andes and have a fresh cup of Colombian coffee, real Colombian coffee. You can hike up into the mountains and pick like some lady from a family or something and beans that they grew and roasted and have her make you a very freshest cup of coffee we would ever have if that's your favorite like it is mine. So that would be so cool. I always thought because that's so beautiful there. So, so I think that's probably about it for today. I don't think I'm missing anything. Ah, maybe I'll light one more cigarette really quick and see if I'm, because I know for a lot of people, usually if I make a YouTube video on the weekend, it might not get a lot of views anyway, but for that one person, that's probably bored out of your mind or it's like I tell people I've done a lot of things and I keep busy all the time, but I'm always kind of bored in one respect. I don't have around me and probably never have had around me a person that is guided by the Spirit of God every day. Every day. Not and that's something I heard too that I thought was really interesting, and it is true. God's gonna forgive everybody, yeah, if you repent. And that's just to turn away from what you're doing. And like I told somebody telling me to repent, no, you don't want me to turn away from what I'm doing. Then I'd be like everybody else. I don't need to repent. I did that a long time ago, you know. So, yeah. So these preachers that repent, you sinner, oh, shut up. Go look at your porn. And most ministers, if you worked in a body shop or done mechanics, or those are the ones that have all that stuff in their trunk, all their alcohol and porn and everything else, you know. So it reminds me, I had this freakazoid. Didn't even ask. He was so rude. He's like, text me. I want somebody to masturbate with. Block. Not even would you though. It's like, wow, that's a horrible bedside manner, right? God, what a creep. You know, go, go F yourself. That's what you're doing anyway, you know. Or maybe that's Satan laying in the same bed with you, eh? You know. Yeah, that's probably about enough for everybody. I love you all. Thank you for joining me. I think you really appreciate this timeline history. It's not quite as boring as I thought it would be. And I try to find things that are like you'll be like, wow, that kind of, where have I heard that before? And then you connect like what you heard with something that I'm going to share. And I think you'll find that in here. So that's pretty much it for today, I think. All right. Thank you again. Have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.